All right, hope everybody's having a good night. This is Ben. We are tracking a line of storms coming in from Alabama eventually. That'll be coming in here later tonight. Northwest Georgia first, and then making its way down towards central Georgia. Of course, the question is this going to be holding together when it gets down here? And some of the models are showing that maybe that's not the case, and maybe this will be falling apart. But we'll get to all that in just a second. Let's take a look at the latest radar shots here, and I'll kind of walk you through a couple of things. The newest graph model run will be coming in a little after 10 o'clock, around 10:20 or so. So we're still going to have the same model run that I had at the 6 o'clock show. So let's take you full here so you can see a little bit better. The radar is empty for now, at least it is here. That is not the case, however, as you go back toward northwest Georgia and over into Alabama. So you can see numerous big red boxes there. Those are tornado watches. And they've started to kind of lay them on down into East Tennessee, North Georgia now. So doing what it was supposed to do is continue to move toward the east, and then this line is going to kind of drop, the remnants of it anyway, will drop toward the south and east. The part that we would get any impact from would be kind of this area in here as this sags south and east. And again, I don't anticipate the way this looks here now with all these tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, northwest Georgia obviously is already under the gun. They're in a level 3 up here, and as I lay that storm outlook over, you can kind of see where this lines up. Let's take away the clouds here. All right, so you can kind of get an idea that the storms are kicking it where they're supposed to be kicking it, and that is inside that level 3. So this is a level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. Higher the number, you know, the bigger severe threat. Later on tonight is this line, the remnants start to drop toward the south and east. The threat weakens down to a level 2, and then once it gets into our area, weakens down to a level 1, and then eventually fizzles out. Matter of fact, let me take that light green one there is just for general thunderstorms. We're going to take that off so it's not confusing. So I hope that kind of makes sense when you see it that way. Gives you an idea of the threat diminishing as we lose the heat of the day and lose some of the dynamics. It's a different atmosphere up here than what we have here. So let's get to the last graph model that came out. I see somebody saying no sound, but I only see one person saying it, and that's Kelly. Anybody else having no sound, or everybody able to hear all right? All right. Apparently, I am heard. That's good. Okay, so let's go forward with future view here, and this is pretty good pickup from where we are right now. It kind of starts with reality. Notice as we get into, this is 10 o'clock hours, so about an hour from now, you know, still northwest Georgia, some Boeing line segments in there with some gusty winds heading toward Atlanta. All right, so let's go forward. This is 11 o'clock now, midnight here, so this is rolling down through the Atlanta area. And you can start to see the line take a little bit of a different shape. It doesn't have quite as many of those, it's red in there, which is heavy rain, but it's not as many of those big kind of bowing out sort of segments of gusty winds. There's some of that, but it's going to start to take on a different kind of separated shape here. You can see especially by about 1 in the morning. If this model run is correct. And why, you may say that? Well, because each model run that comes out can show something different. Now, the last few times this graph model has come out, it continues to show things falling apart pretty quickly. So this is around 1 to 2 in the morning coming down. It does try to keep a piece, and again, that doesn't mean that's going to be sitting in that exact spot. But the potential for at least some rain, maybe a rumble of thunder and some gusty winds. Let's go forward from 1 a.m. You can see 2 to 3. Let me back it up a little bit. So you can kind of see through there. And again, the next model run that comes out in an hour may not even have that there. But watch as I go forward. The overall trend, though, is to weaken away. See that? So we go back in time. There's 11 o'clock, midnight. You can see it really starting to fall apart and then gone. Maybe still a shower or two south. Again, that's if this model is right. Now, I'm going to show you something different. This is the high-res model. This one comes out every hour. This one is not, it didn't initialize very well because it's picking up on rain in Monroe County that is not there. So already. That's not right. So let's go forward. It shows the line, similar time, about 2 a.m., knocking on the door in our northwestern counties. Still holding together is at least rain. It may not be severe, but at least rain. There's 3 in the morning, 3:34, maybe still holding together. The farther west you go, a little bit into 5, 6, 7. Now, the color table on this high-res model is a little bit overblown too. So sometimes you're going to get, you know, a little bit more pop in the color there than what you're going to see on the graph. So sometimes it looks like, you know, worse than it really is. But anytime you can see, whoop, let me go back. If you ever see, you know, this kind of this is straight line winds is what we're talking about when we see that. Tornado threat for us, if anyone's asking, I haven't looked over there yet, is very low. It's not zero, but it's not something we're really focusing in on tonight. Of course, we'll keep an eye out for anything, but I think straight line winds. The bigger question is it going to even hold together? So back to the graph model again we go. If you're just joining us, that line probably with severe thunderstorm warnings, 10, 11 o'clock, midnight, and then watch as we go forward. You can see it's starting to kind of shred apart. So this would be an overnight event. This would be maybe getting into some of our western, northwestern counties between 1 and 2. If it's holding together through the Macon area between 2 to 3, and then there may not be anything left. So that kind of lines up, though, with where the, you know, level 3 is up here, level 2 here, level 1 cuts right through here, and it almost fizzles out right at that spot. So you notice as I show you the storm outlook map, it kind of lines up with that thinking, with the storms weakening down. Somebody else saying can't hear anything. Sorry, Kay. Apparently my mic is working. It must be something on your end. And again, you can't hear me say that. So, hopefully you'll join us, Kay. All right, let's go back to the radar shot. Just to show you how things are playing out in northwest Georgia. The biggest problem tonight is this part here. Tennessee, northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia with a handful of tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, notice all that stuff is running east. So that's going to go up and over us. Any part that would hold together would probably be this in here, which is not showing up as much as the others. As a matter of fact, it's falling apart in some spots. So. And again, it's sitting right in where that highest storm threat level is, level 3 here. Remember the scale is 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest threat, 5 being highest threat, 3 in the middle, obviously. So that lines up with the warnings they're seeing up here, Knoxville, Chattanooga, places like that. And then eventually dropping down in intensity to a level 2, dropping down in intensity to a level 1 before probably falling apart for us. So in other words, if I were to go by what the models are saying as of now and what they've been showing for all day today, is that this is probably something that's going to come in with some rain, a little wind in our northwestern counties and then fizzle out as it rolls through. But it's always good, especially given the time of year it is, still in severe weather season, to watch as this comes through. And that's what we'll be doing tonight as we go through the overnight hours. The first severe thunderstorm warning for the state of Georgia was just issued a little while ago there in this event, right there, in the northwest corner. And all these lines, I can take these tornado watches off and see if that helps clear it up. Yep. So now you can see what's just warnings. Maybe we'll keep it that way so there's not so many lines on there. So tornado warnings, a slew of them here heading toward Knoxville, and then the ones, you know, in the Huntsville area here heading on into northwest Georgia. And again, the part of the line, if it held together for us, would be just kind of drew this part out and sort of sagged it toward the south and east. That's pretty much what we're looking at, and there's not much to it right now. Again, different dynamics up here in play for severe weather than what's down here, and then especially what is here for us. Again, not a zero chance. It's just something that should be weakening as it comes on in tonight. Headed to Chattanooga tonight. I'll be up there around 1:30 a.m. What will I be looking at? How bad? I'll be in an 18-wheeler. Well, Travis, it's not that Chattanooga's getting it now, but you may drive through some of this. So if you're going straight up 75, you'll have to punch through that line at some point. Well, I'm assuming you're already heading that way. So you'll have to drive through at least that line. Good news about when you're heading, well, wouldn't want to be on the road, period. But if you had to be on the road for work like this, you know, if you're heading up 70 miles an hour and this thing is moving across at 50 plus miles per hour, you're going to get through it pretty quickly. You just punch right through it. But I would probably not be on the road. I would check for warnings wherever you are when you get up there. And if you're seeing that there is a severe thunderstorm or tornado warning, I'd pull off and get somewhere safe just to let that ride through. And by the time you get up there, it may have weakened some, but right now it hasn't shown any sign up that way anyway of weakening just yet. All right, so just in case you're joining us just now, again with the same map you're looking at, but just with the legend up there so you can get a better idea. Again, it's middle of the road, level 3 for northwest Georgia. And then a lower level of severe threat 2, and then down to us, the lowest level, a level 1. So mainly most of the tornado stuff or straight line winds is going to be up here in northwest Georgia, losing more of that as it falls south. Again, just another overview of the graph model, 11 o'clock, midnight, and you can start to see it losing some of the color in there, starting to kind of bust apart. Again, don't get too locked in on that blob right there. That doesn't mean that that's going to be there on that next model run. It may show something totally different. The trend has been on each run of this graph model and others is to just have this thing tearing apart as it comes down. That blob right there, again, is just on that model run. The next one that comes out, whatever the computer spits out, may not show that. Sheldon says we've been having some bad weather these couple of days. Yeah, it's just that time of year, you know, March, April, May, those are our severe weather months. Not that we can't see it other times of the year, but those are our big 3. So we're getting, Roger, I see that. They need to come on TV as soon as we get warnings, Ben. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, it would be 2 a.m. and we would definitely be on if we had anything. We'll be here, so don't worry about that. But anyway, yeah, so we're getting toward near the end of our typical severe weather season, starting to transition eventually more into pop-up summertime thunderstorms. Those can still have a kick and be a little bit on the strong side, but not in an organized fashion like this. And generally, you're not going to look at the tornado risk with those storms. So again, if that graph is right, it tears itself apart. Let's go back to the high-res model again. This one comes out every hour. Again, what we call initialization, where it starts. When this one came out earlier, it was thinking there would be rain already at this point, which there's not. So again, you kind of take that into consideration when you look at the rest of the model, because it's already missed that part because there's no rain out there. And there's 2 in the morning, 3. Again, this looks like just regular old rain here. 4, 5 in the morning. Maybe a little bit steadier toward Thomaston, Butler. Again, that doesn't mean that's severe. And you can still see the trend eventually is to fall apart. It's just how long does it take? Misty says, I hope it's not like it was Sunday. Yeah, it's that same kind of wave sort of thing, but I think Sunday morning's punch was a little bit greater than what we're expecting on this one. But it's the reason why we're watching it. But it should be weakening as it comes in. Candy says, hey, Jessica Swicegood. That's fun. I like to say that. That's a cool name. Swicegood. What is that? Where does that come from? Oh, that's nice. She doesn't even know. She's not even in the conversation. She was just tagged in it and doesn't know that her last name is a topic of convo. That's nice. All right, so there's a look at the watches again. Northwest Georgia, back in Alabama. We're not in any sort of watch. Could we be later tonight? That's up to the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Do they think that we are in an environment enough to add some sort of a watch? And if we did have one, would it be a severe thunderstorm watch, or, who knows? It may be that this thing, they're seeing that it falls apart eventually later tonight too, and we never get one. So again, anything can happen, especially this time of year, but my hunch is, just following the models over the past day or two, that this is probably pretty close to the scenario. At some point, maybe past midnight, that we start to see most of it tear itself apart. Again, if you notice, if you look at up top, this is where all the really bad, tornado warnings and all this. Keep an eye on that. That wants to hang together as it goes into the Carolinas a little bit longer than what we would see. Lori says tornadoes, question mark. Not a zero chance, but it's not high on the scale. That's mainly for Northwest Georgia. By the time it gets here, it would be straight line winds for the most part, unless there was some rogue brief spin up. And some of those tornado warnings that we have seen this year have been somewhat questionable, if there was even rotation there. So let's see. I don't think there's a good chance of that for us tonight. It's not zero, but not a big chance of that. So you can see it looks like it has a lot more punch here over the next couple hours, north of Atlanta, back in Alabama. And then starts to fizzle out. So Dora says, which is more reliable, graph or the HER, as we call it, high resolution rapid refresh is what that stands for. It depends. The benefit of the high res model is that it's an hourly model, so you're going to get better looks. You're going to get more often. You're going to get a new model to come out. Some of these others, it's every few hours that you have to wait for them to come out. Krista, those straight line winds can be more damaging than a tornado. That's a good point. It doesn't have that rotation that really freaks a lot of people out. But yes, you can have trees and tree limbs that can go over from straight line winds. That's a good point. But generally speaking, as far as an overall bad thing, I would choose straight line winds over a tornado if you had to have one or the other. Did anybody hear from Swicegood? It was fun saying her name. Sarah, is Butler / Reynolds going to get it bad? Let me put the radar back up while I'm looking at these. I don't know if bad is the thing. I mean, you may get some rain out of this, but it's just a question if it holds together. Let's see. Cheyenne, can we zoom out a little? My parents are on the way in from Kentucky trying to see what they will be running into. Larisha says, I absolutely hate the thought of any bad weather coming in through the overnight hours. Well, yeah, that's true, but the good, if there's a good side, to being in the late night hours is it usually does not have the same punch because we're losing one of the key ingredients in these situations. That's the sunshine, heat of the day. A lot of the heat. Once you can get more into the cooler atmosphere, it takes a lot of the edge off. It doesn't go away totally, but it actually helps you out. Who asked about Kentucky? Where was that? I've already lost that. Madison, this is going to be over tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, right? Yep, it'll be gone early tomorrow morning, Madison, and it will be a beautiful day and a beautiful finish to the week. It was Cheyenne. Can we zoom in a little? My parents, are they driving or are they flying from Kentucky to see what they will be running into? It depends on when they left, too. Yes, Madison, go fishing. I will tell you this, though. They always say to fish or hunt before the front. Yeah, the way they say it is before a cold front comes through, when you have low pressure, when it's warm and muggy out there, there's not as much pressure pushing down on the lakes and ponds, and so the fish will bite better. And if you're hunting whatever animal it is, they're usually on the move a little better. Once the front moves through, high pressure comes in behind it. Think about a blue sky, perfect day. A lot of people look at it and say, oh, that's perfect for fishing. Well, if it's right behind the front, then you get high pressure pushing down on the water, and a lot of times they'll get what you call lockjaw, and they don't want to bite, and a lot of animals won't move as much. So fish or hunt before the front. So yeah, you could go fishing tomorrow and catch something big, hopefully, but sometimes it affects whether they bite. Now, if you throw a chili dog on the hook, they'll probably come after it no matter what. I know I would. Let's see. They are, they are over the road truck drivers, Cheyenne says. Okay, just tell me when they were leaving. I can give you an idea. If they're coming from Kentucky, let me zoom out because you asked for that. And the next little bit, they would have to run through some of this. But again, the later it is, the more this stuff's going to fall apart or move east. Once it gets on east of 75, in which it's not far from doing, it'll be out of the way. Aha, my first what about, I think. What about Baldwin County? Rhonda, well, Baldwin, I would say this, that the farther north and west you are, the better your chance of having some of this line hold together. The general idea is as it slowly sags toward the south, it's going to fall apart more and more and more. Does that put you to sleep? Like a metronome. Heading toward the south. So Baldwin would be in some of that if it held together. But again, the models keep hinting that it's going to start to fall apart somewhere in our northwestern counties. But again, there's no way knowing for sure, but we're just going off of how the pieces to the puzzle have been coming together. Whoa, Daniel, where is that place? Doris, timeline for Perry. Same thing, the farther south you are, the less likely you are of seeing thunderstorms that are holding it. So here again, this is the latest graph. If this is right, Baldwin County could maybe see something around 2 in the morning. Perry may not see anything. If it is holding together, somewhere around 3 or 4 in the morning, something like that. What are the darkened black lines, Carolyn says. I don't know. The darkened black lines. Oh, was that when I was back on the radar? You mean the outlines of the counties in here? State lines and county lines, yeah. Forsyth, yeah, Samantha, that's if it holds together. Again, but Forsyth would have a better chance of at least seeing rain or some rumbles out of this. I still think that the bulk of everything, this is the main problem. And it is heading east, up and over us. That's where they're seeing the majority of the problems. So if that continues going that way, and it looks like it should, then that's not going to be a factor for us. We would be more, try to erase this. Whoops. We would be more looking at this part down here, which is not as active pieces, and maybe a little bit of this, sagging south and east. But again, weakening the whole time. Most of this right here, and there's no way this is going to take a hard right turn and come down here. So look at all these red tornado warnings. They're going this way. David, so no energy in middle Georgia. There's some, yeah, I mean, you can feel it when you go out there. It's warm and muggy out there. There's Cape values are up, so I mean, we have instability out there for these to feed off of, but generally losing the heat of the day, and just the simplest way to put it is the setup is not quite the same here for that. So mainly from the loss of heat of the day, we should be losing the punch of these storms as they come down. Okay, guys, we're going on 30 minutes in. I got to get ready for the 10 o'clock show. So check out the 10. It's on the CW channel, but of course now that we have 13 WMAZ Plus, you can watch it there. You don't have to have access to that channel anymore. So you can watch for free there. And the reason I say that is because that new graph model will come out, it's around 10:20 or so usually. It always gets me. Comes in usually commercial break right before I do my full weather segment. But anyway, that'll give us another idea, and see if it's kind of following the same logic so far. Cheyenne, last time on checking in here, let's say they just crossed state lines into Tennessee from Kentucky. Well, yeah, I guess it would depend on which interstate they're on. If they're coming from London, Kentucky through Knoxville, then that's going to be a slow ride. If they were coming down through Nashville and then on down, they're on the back side of it. And then this eventually would be out of the way before they got there, so they'd be all right. Oh, so somebody's asking about the black lines again. Yeah, that's our viewing area, generally speaking. So when you see these black lines, well, you can see all the counties in Georgia when I get in too far, but if I back out just a little bit, it kind of gives you an idea of our coverage area. So it gives you kind of a better idea of, so you can get a feel for knowing where you are. And a lot of folks learn to know the shape of their counties and all that stuff. Of course, the more we zoom in, we start to get city names will pop up, which is a good time to answer that question. A lot of people are like, how come you don't ever show such and such city? Well, because we couldn't fit them all on the map, and the computer is designed, the layout of the interface, the more you zoom in, the more cities pop up, and even some that most people don't hear very often, like Browndale. And the farther you go out, fewer and fewer names until just the bigger city names are there. Okay, well, I got to run. I see some more what about questions on there. You can re-rack this, I think. Go back and maybe answer some of your questions. Again, it's generally a weakening trend as it comes down tonight, and we will know more on that next model run coming up around 10:20. And of course, we'll be here tonight, so we'll be here through it. My hunch is this is going to be one that comes in with maybe some rain and rumbles in our northwestern counties up here, and then just starts to fall apart as it comes through. Okay, have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.